Sooners go on the road at South Carolina. First trip ever to the Palmetto State, and played well last Saturday. A 26-7 win over the Gamecocks. A defensively dominated game. Running game got going. Torrey Blaylock, an 18-yard scamper. Xavier Robinson got churning as well. Isaiah Satania found the end zone again, and Oklahoma found the win column again. A victory number 6 of the year over the Gamecocks. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sooner Game Day. Toby Rowland with you alongside my radio partners here, Teddy Lehman and Gabe Eichert. Thank you for joining us. We got a big-time matchup now coming up this week on Owen Field as Oklahoma hosts Ole Miss. The Rebels coming to Norman for the first time. How we doing, guys?
Fantastic.
6-1 feels good.
It does.
Feels good.
It does.
Great way. Was very impressed, very proud of how this football team bounced back from the disappointment against Texas. That was a very business-like and convincing performance against South Carolina. I liked it.
It's nice to have a couple score cushion late. Like, we're not going to experience that a whole lot in this conference. So that was fun. And it felt like, defense continues to play well, but felt like the offense had a nice bounce-back performance. Feels like Mateer's coming around with the hand and feeling more confident back there. I like where we're at.
Good all-around trip. We got some shrimp and grits. We got a victory. Everything worked out well in South Carolina. Hopefully everything works out as well this weekend as Lane Kiffin is bringing the Rebs to town. How about that matchup? You got the Lane Kiffin offense, the Brent Venables defense, Ted. This will be worth the price of admission.
Yeah, there's no doubt. This is the best offense we've faced, and they've really got it going across the board. I think their offensive line starts off really solid. They're not going to blow you away just like mashing people off the ball, but they're where they're supposed to be. They cover guys up. They're good in pass protection. Running game is solid. They're really athletic at running back. They've got a great complement of receivers, a super athletic tight end. That's a big factor for them. Makes an explosive play almost every game. And a quarterback in Chambliss who's come in, a relative unknown, and has performed really, really well. And Simmons, the backup who started the season off, is available to come in at any time, and he maybe opens a little more up in the passing game. Curious to see if he makes an appearance.
We'll talk about both sides of the ball, but Gabe, this is the headline matchup right here. The number 1 defense in America, top 10 offense for Ole Miss. Whoever wins this matchup, you feel like is going to win the football game.
It's certainly the way it feels, and what an opportunity for this defense to prove that they are the best defense in the country, because they have been phenomenal up to this point. But when you look at the offenses that we've played statistically, we have not played an offense that is as close to as dynamic and as explosive as this Ole Miss offense. But I view it as an opportunity for this defense. What better way to prove that you are actually the best defense in the country? And Lane Kiffin, some of the things he said this week in classic Lane Kiffin fashion, maybe a little extra motivation for this defense to prove the type of group that they are, that maybe it's more than, hey, we're good at figuring out some signals.
Yeah, stirring the pot. Lane's always stirring the pot.
I was actually very pleased to hear Lane Kiffin say that, because, and Ted knows this as well as I do, like, you take anything you can get as extra motivation. And I guarantee you those guys on that defense heard that and went, okay, all right, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if it's the signals.
Yeah, I have a feeling, I asked Venables about it on Monday on his coach's show, and he kind of laughed it off and said, I'll take that as a compliment. I have a feeling it may be a different message to the team.
You think?
I didn't laugh it off, yeah. Clash of styles in this game. Big-time college football playoff implications as well. Both teams come in with 1 loss. The loser of this game will have 2. That doesn't mean they're out of anything, but it certainly makes the road a little tougher. Let's talk quickly about that win over South Carolina. Defense was good, and we're going to get to that, but maybe, Gabe, the most important thing is Oklahoma found a running game on Saturday.
Yeah, we did. I thought that Ben Arbuckle and this offensive staff did a really nice job of creating space with formations and setting this offense up for success in the running game. First and foremost, I thought the most important thing was the way that the offensive line played. Yeah. That is as violent and as physical as we've seen this group be this season. It wasn't perfect, but there is a lot of good stuff all over that tape from left tackle to right tackle of guys being really physical, straining, finishing through the whistle. That's what it looks like. And that was the number one reason that we had the success we had on the ground. I thought Torrey Blaylock ran extremely hard. He continues to be very impressive. Xavier Robinson, thought he got into a rhythm.
Yeah.
Had a nice feel when he got his touches, was a little harder to tackle than he's been up to that point in the season. And I thought that we set our tight ends up for success as blockers. We didn't ask them to do a bunch of stuff at the point of attack against South Carolina's edge guys. A lot of the split zone stuff, went and cut those guys at the end of the line of scrimmage. And Caden Helms in particular, that dude plays hard.
Yeah.
And you can solve a lot of problems on a football field by just going out there and flying around and playing physical. And I thought number 18 did that. So very, very encouraging to see. And my hope is that that is something that this offense can build on. And not only build on from a confidence standpoint with the run game, but you can start building some play action, some RPO stuff off of these simple concepts in the run game that we utilized against South Carolina. And you should be able to take some shots down the field now. And that is an area that this offense needs to improve. We got to get some more explosive plays in the passing game, T-Row.
As for Ole Miss, they go to Georgia last week, Teddy. Touchdowns on their first 5 possessions, got away from them there in the 4th. The offense looked good. As a tough loss, but it's not going to hurt them necessarily losing at Georgia, but still an impressive performance and a loss, I thought, for the Rebels.
No, it was. It's not anything that they're going to be, writing home about with the defense. They got scored on every possession. And, there's been a lot of talk about, what Lane Kiffin said early, the weather, a bunch of kind of the factors surrounding the game. I think the game at Georgia may be the biggest factor. That's tough to go on the road,
right,
playing a big emotional game. Defense played like 80 snaps, get beat, and, have to recover and come back on the road, get back out and travel again. That could be difficult. But, offensively, Georgia's not what everyone's used to over the last decade defensively this year. They're still really solid. And Ole Miss was able to move the ball. It was crazy the way that game unfolded. A lot of really long drives by both teams, only 8 possessions apiece. But, they were able to move it on Georgia until the 4th quarter. Things totally changed. Georgia dominated that game. Maybe it's because they're at home. Maybe it's because Ole Miss's defense finally wore out, which, that's my hope, is that we can keep those guys on the field for a long time, long sustained drives. Their first rotation on defense is good. They don't have great depth. I mean, what we see week in, week out on our defense where we play 25 guys, that's very rare in college football, and Ole Miss is a perfect example of that. Once they get outside of their first rotation on the defensive line, there's a pretty big fall off. But, yeah, it was a brutally physical game, emotional game. We've got to get out and get on them early where they're thinking, oh, boy, here we go again.
A lot of highlights there from Trinidad Chambliss, the Ole Miss quarterback. We'll talk a lot more about him coming up. Let's take an opening timeout. When we come back, the Oklahoma offense, how they played at South Carolina, and what's important for them against the Rebels. You're watching Sooner Game Day. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sooner Game Day. We're getting you set for the Sooners and the Rebels coming up 11 a.m. kickoff. Weather's trending better, by the way. Hopefully the rain is going to hold off for us, at least not be too big of a bother. Let's talk about the Oklahoma offense, and of course we'll start with the quarterback, John Mateer. 18 of 26 against South Carolina, Gabe, 150 yards. The numbers aren't going to wow you. I thought he looked better, though, throwing the football. Do you agree?
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. I thought he managed the game very well. And with the way that our defense was playing, with how our defensive line was getting after their offensive line, I thought Ben Arbuckle called a relatively conservative game with that, because you adjust with how the game is going. Mm-hmm. And I thought that we kept things pretty simple from a run game standpoint. And in the passing game, we played to Mateer's strengths. intermediate, short passing game. The thing that stood out to me, I thought his accuracy on the short throws was much, much better than it was against Texas. Especially, there's several to Burks and Satania where the ball placement is perfect, and it's allowing those guys to go make yards after the catch. That throw to Satania right there on the touchdown, he protects it from that defensive back falling off that's carrying the vertical. Like, those are the types of things that were really encouraging for me is, yeah, did we push it down the field a ton? No. Would I like to see us push it down the field more? Of course. But with the throws that he did make, I thought the accuracy was much, much better. The ball placement was really, really good.
Yeah, and, I'm waiting on him to take that next step and, again, be the guy we saw early in the season where he's way more aggressive in the run. He's creating. It feels like he's still maybe holding a little bit back. I don't know if that's, playing conservative to the defense or if it's him still, mentally thinking about that thumb a little bit. So that's something to watch, whether it's this week, Tennessee, you look at the schedule coming up, he's going to have to be that special guy at some point. So hopefully he's feeling, where he can get a little more aggressive out there.
The surgery 1 month ago today as we tape this on Friday before the game. So hopefully it's continuing to heal as we go along. The run game, we mentioned it in the first segment, Gabe. The offensive line, one thing of note, Derek Simmons on the latest player availability report, doubtful for this game. That's OU starting right tackle. That could be an impact.
A huge, huge impact. I thought Simmons played very, very well against South Carolina, and that group has been at its best when he's been available. At this point, you think about some of his injury history, you just hope that he's going to be able to play again this season. We'll see what that looks like. I hate that for Simmons because he's a good player, and I think he was capable of playing in the NFL. But next man up, right? That's the mentality around here, and we've got some interesting decisions to make. We've seen Luke Buklenko get some spot duty at that right tackle spot. We saw that against Texas when Simmons went out with the ankle. But could this be a game where we see Ryan Foje get his first start as an Oklahoma Sooner? Remember, he was a tackle in high school. He's played guard since he's been here, and remember, Fabechi Wiwu played tackle at North Texas. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get your five most talented guys out there, it's hard for me to imagine Foje's not in the mix. I would assume that's something they're considering. Logan Hallen I think he's going to be available, but he's battling multiple injuries. So I wonder if Logan's kind of more of in case of emergency type of role in this game. But yes, clearly what the offensive line is going to look like is going to play a huge role, and it's very unfortunate that we just can't seem to keep the same five on the field.
This is a team, too, Ted, that you've been able to run the ball against. Ole Miss's defense has given up some rushing yards. It could be the running backs, it could be John Mateer, but it does seem like a team you can have some success on there.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case. And you go back to a week ago, as Gabe pointed out, some of the stuff we did at South Carolina, spread them out a little bit more, use the tight ends in a little bit different way. I think that stuff is still going to be there. And I still kind of think that we are a run game complementing the passing game type of football team. I mean, everyone would love to be able to just pound it at people and force everyone, just to come close and then air it out. But, I think it right now is a complement to what we do in the pass game. And I think the passing game has a lot of real good opportunity to really start to dictate some coverages to where, we're often, I think, going to be lining up with a light box. And, there's no real matchup. I mean, the guys on the interior, big, physical, strong, get good push and penetration. But on the perimeters, I feel like it's one of the weaker teams we've seen. I mean, I know Dylan Stewart got knocked out of the game, but Dylan Stewart, Colin Simmons, Falk at Auburn, the guys at Michigan, we faced some really good edge guys. Ole Miss, at least up to this point, hasn't been as good at that spot. So, maybe this is a good opportunity to attack the perimeter and continue to spread some people out and run it on the inside.
Yeah, and they don't have the size at edge. Now they've got one end that's kind of a hybrid end/tackle that's 290 pounds, but then they play Perkins up at the line of scrimmage. He's listed at 220. So that's one of those things where can you attack him a bit? He's a twitchy, athletic. He's a good player. I'm not trying to make it sound like he's not, but he's not like Falk at Auburn, 285 pounds. He's one of the lighter, kind of more shifty guys that we've seen. But I think Harris 51 and Eccles 52 in the interior of their defensive line, I think that's the best duo of defensive tackles we've played. But they play way too many snaps for them. It's clear that they don't trust the guys that are playing behind them. I mean, they played 70-something snaps against Georgia, and you turn that film on in the fourth quarter, those guys are running on fumes. So that's one of those things, like how have those two guys in particular bounced back from that game where they just had to play a ridiculous number of snaps?
Harris, by the way, 6'8", 330.
He's playing the wrong position.
You don't see a lot of 6'8" tackles.
Let's take some time to talk about this.
Okay.
He's going to be a draft pick at defensive tackle. He would be in the conversation as a first rounder if he played offensive tackle. I don't know what they're doing down there in Oxford. Hey, Harris, come on, man. Come on, man. We all know it. Now he's a good player, really good player at D tackle. Maybe I think he is the most disruptive defensive tackle that we've played, but he would be an absolute beast at offensive tackle. What are we doing?
Tackles make a lot of money.
Why do these defensive guys
6'8", 330?
They got to know. Everyone
tackle.
down there knows who should be playing offensive tackle.
Hey, he knows how he's wired, okay? He's playing to that.
He is a good player, and he's one of those. He plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage, going to swim you in the run game. He's very disruptive. We need to make sure we limit his impact on the game.
Talk about the OU defense when we come back. Huge matchup, great game. Oklahoma and Ole Miss coming up Saturday, 11 a.m. in Norman. You're watching Sooner Game Day. Well, what the Oklahoma defense has done so far in 2025 is special. 28 sacks, 75 tackles for loss.
Sheesh.
Both pace the nation. But here comes the biggest test they've had so far this year in Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss offense. First off, let's talk about mobile quarterbacks because Oklahoma saw one last week. They're going to see another one this week. Teddy, how do you feel like they played against Lenoris Sellers? How did they handle his mobility?
I know it was probably frustrating to watch for people at times whenever he was getting out of some of those sacks where it looked like he's totally dead to rights, but he's done that all year to people much more than he did to us. The amount of times we got to him and got him down, really was impressive. I thought they did a good job. Chambliss is going to be a little bit different. Sellers is a big physical guy that, he moves around really well, but he gets out of a lot of tackles because of his size and his strength and, the ability to just kind of push away from some of those guys. Chambliss is a little more of a squirrely guy that's going to find some space, get out there, use his quickness.
We stayed for the dance. Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that, Arch did some of the same stuff, not nearly at the level of these two players. We've seen some athletic quarterbacks, so it is a benefit that this isn't the first time we've been challenged with a player like this. Containing the pocket is critical. Rush lanes, discipline, trusting guys to be where they're supposed to be. You get that feeling of, I can go make this play on an option or a scramble instead of locking down your assignment, and he's going to make you pay, and he can do it, like most really good scrambling quarterbacks can, both with his legs and pushing the ball down the field because they've got some speed at wide receiver.
Yeah, you definitely – the goal is to make them as one-dimensional as possible. Kewan Lacey is a heck of a running back. Chambliss can do some damage in the read run game, and I'm very interested to see how Venables in this defense handles some of those situations. I could see them wanting Chambliss to carry it more often than Lacey and giving them some pull reads and then playing it accordingly. But if you can make Trinidad Chambliss just one-dimensional and play from the pocket, that's the goal. Now, he can throw it. I mean, he has been very impressive as a passer up to this point in the season. But if you shut down the run game, which we have seen this defense do time and time again, then you're feeling much better about the down and distance situations and some of the disguises you can get to and try to mess with Chambliss's eyes as a passer. But there's no doubt Lacey is a dude at running back. Their offensive line has played some really solid football, and Chambliss is a weapon with his legs. I mean, this is a very well-balanced, dangerous offense.
The thing that's most dangerous about them, Ted, is their explosiveness. They are top of the nation in explosive plays. 28 plays of 30-plus yards. 28 plays of 30 or more yards. That's number 2 in the country. How do you limit that?
Well, you start off, like Gabe mentioned, you make them one-dimensional. You have to stop the run. Whenever, they get to their traditional run or, some of the quarterback keep stuff, you have to be really dialed in. Down and distance is critical. First down. I mean, we always talk about third down, and we've been great on third down as a defense, but that typically comes from creating chaos on first and second down, the tackles for loss. You see all those numbers. You get people behind the chains, force them to be one-dimensional, and that's where you can kind of, you can sit back, you can spread the net, you've got players deep, you've got zone players spread across the field in case he pulls it down. It's way harder to hit those explosives. Now, you're not good on first down. You give up a 7 or 8 yard run, and you're in 2nd and 2 or 3. Now you have no idea what's coming. You're taking a risk. Do we blitz? Do we stack the box? Do we sit back and play coverage? And whenever you do decide to come after people, and Venables does a lot. I think we pressure on almost half of the snaps that we play. That's whenever you leave yourself exposed on the perimeters, the one-on-ones on the outside, and they've got a really good group of wide receivers that can make you pay. So to me, the way to limit the explosives is to be really good on early downs.
I completely agree. And watching Ole Miss's offense, a lot of those explosive plays where they're pushing it down the field, whether it's vertical passing game, double moves, RPO type of throws, just down the sideline, it's coming in these 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4 situations where they're way ahead of the chains. And we got to remember, Lane Kiffin operates pretty much the entire football game with a 4-down mentality. So 2nd and 3, everything is like that's a waist down for him. That's where they're going to take their shots. So you've got to be really good on first down in this game and put them in those 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10s. And that gets them off schedule and maybe takes him out of that 4-down mode more often than not.
Stribling, Wallace, Deuce Alexander.
Stribling can fly, man.
Former Oklahoma State Cowboy there. Daquan Wright. Remember this guy, the tight end. He wears number 8. He's a dude.
He's hard to miss. He's enormous. He's the enormous guy running very fast.
He is a dude. You mentioned this in the opening segment, Gabe. The Oklahoma defense has been great. They lead the country in all kinds of categories. They lead the SEC in 16 different defensive categories. But this is a stamping game right here.
No doubt.
This is an elite offense. If they could play well Saturday, I'm not saying shut them out, that'd be great, but if they could play well Saturday, that kind of just proves it, right?
There's no doubt about it. This is a moment to prove who you are. The entire country is going to be watching at 11 a.m. This is the biggest game of the weekend, in my opinion. You've got Missouri at Vandy. That's big, but this one's bigger. Everyone's talking about the college football playoff implications of this game. This is a huge game. If you are the best defense in the country, if David Stone and Jaden Jackson and R. Mason Thomas, that group is the best defensive line in the country, this is when you go and prove it. And this is something that Teddy said on the podcast this week. There's been plenty of times in the history of this program, great offenses have come and played on this field and got nothing and got embarrassed on that field. And the defense, Oklahoma's best defenses throughout the years, have dominated those games.
Texas Tech jump around game comes to mind.
And that's the thing, and that's why
Seneca Wallace and Iowa State.
I know that the crowd is going to be in a frenzy for this game. No one's better prepared for an 11 a.m. kickoff in Sooner Nation. We know exactly what we're all going to need to do to be ready to go when this thing kicks off a few minutes after 11. Not worried about that at all. Energy's going to be amazing, but it's about execution. And this is a really, really solid offense for Ole Miss. Kiffin is a great play caller and play designer. This is a massive challenge. But if you're the best in the country, you go out there and you play like it.
Focus in on Ole Miss, the roster that the Rebels are bringing to town when we come back. You're watching Sooner Game Day. Stay with us.
Sooner Game Day is presented by Sooner Kids Club. Log on to Soonersports.com/kids for information about joining the Kids Club presented by OG&E and brought to you in part by Devon Energy. One Oklahoma, powered by Sooner Sports Properties. Fan-fueled, athlete-focused. OU's 2025 football games are available on Ritmo 96.5 FM in Oklahoma City and 101.5 FM El Patron in Tulsa, as well as on these stations' websites. Each OU Spanish broadcast will feature a 30-minute pregame show and a 15-minute postgame show.
Hey, we're sharing a booth, by the way, with Enrique and Luis next week in Tennessee, Ted. So be ready for that.
Curious to see how that goes.
That'll be fun.
El Matador.
Let's take a look at some of the NCAA updates this week. Billy Napier fired at Florida. Not really a surprise. The surprise was it came after a win, perhaps, but it's been expected for a while. 9th FBS coach fired in 2025. There have been approximately $116 million in buyouts paid so far.
I don't want to spend too much time on this, but with the way that the Big Ten and the SEC are now, people have to recalibrate their expectations.
Yeah.
This is becoming like a mini NFL. And in the NFL, if you go 9-8 and make the playoffs, it's a solid year.
Get a raise. Yeah.
And so that's where we're all so conditioned, like you got to be an 11-win team in the regular season. You got to be a 10-win team in the regular season. With the consolidation of all these big brands and these talented rosters, all in just a couple conferences, we got to start shifting our thinking, man.
And financially, that's a lot of money going out the door.
NCAA updates brought to you by Taco Mile. Okay, time for our Game Day Pick'em segment now. Here's how the year's gone so far. The triumvirate of myself, Stanford Steve, and Chad.
Week for Ted.
18 points. Gabe and Teddy at 19. Hey, this is tight, guys.
Hey, man.
Teddy 5 for 5 last week.
We can't be throwing pick sixes right before the half.
First person to go 5 for 5 this year.
I factored that into my pick.
Oh, you did? You knew that one was coming? Okay.
First game, the other top 15 showdown in college football this week. I can't believe I'm saying this, but a massive showdown in the SEC is Missouri at Vanderbilt. Teddy. 2 minutes. We got to go quickly here.
I'm taking Vanderbilt. They're rolling right now. They got a ton of confidence. Balanced football team. I'm taking Vandy until they prove otherwise.
My only concern is that the Vandy boys celebrated that LSU win a little too much throughout the week. But Clark Lee seems to have this team locked in, really physical at the line of scrimmage. Think they can limit that Missouri run game. Give me Vandy.
I'm taking Vandy, too. I hope they didn't spend everything on LSU. Texas A&M at LSU. I'll go first. I'm taking LSU in this one. It's a night game in Baton Rouge. I know they haven't been very good, Gabe, but I think they're going to win.
Same. I'm taking LSU.
Dang it.
I feel
what
like
are you guys doing?
It's the last stand. Like, they got to win this. And A&M, like, they've looked too put together up to this point. It's time for things to unravel.
Well, I've got no choice. A&M has been the better football team all season long. I don't like it, but I'll take A&M.
Wow.
I got to create some separation here.
That's
Give me the Aggies.
BYU at Iowa State. Gabe, you're first on this one. BYU undefeated.
I just think BYU is a better football team than Iowa State right now. Iowa State is decimated on defense. Give me the Cougs.
Ted?
I'm going Iowa State at home. Big win for BYU last week. Think Iowa State gets them.
I'll take BYU. I think they're going to stay unbeaten. They're too good. Tennessee at Kentucky. Sooners get Tennessee next week. Do they slip up?
I wish I could take Kentucky, but I'm going Tennessee. Kentucky's going to get someone here down the stretch, though.
Kentucky's going to take them into the deep water and make them play a weird style, but I think Tennessee's too good offensively, too explosive.
Yeah.
They'll have more just some easy scoring plays. Give me the Vols.
Too much of Joey Aguilar. Finally, Texas at Mississippi State. Gabe?
I'm taking the Bulldogs.
Woo!
I think Levy's due. They've been very, very close. They still haven't gotten that first SEC win as a staff. And Texas' offense is just struggling. Mississippi State's not great on defense, but they're better. Give me the Dogs.
Yeah,
Bulldogs. Did they say Dogs?
Yeah, I think this is Mississippi State's going to turn this one into a track meet. The way Texas offense performing, they do not want any
taking
part
Mississippi
of this
State?
game. I'm taking Mississippi State.
I'm legally obligated to take Mississippi State as well, or at least not take Texas. We wrap it up with hot takes when we come back here on Sooner Game Day. Can't be.
Sooner Game Day is presented by Air Comfort Solutions. Your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today. Coca-Cola. Fan work is thirsty work. Enjoy a Coca-Cola. OG&E. We energize life. OU Fan Shop. The best place to gear up for game day is shop.soonersports.com. OU Health. Never done and never outdone.
Alongside Teddy Lehman and Gabe Eicher, Toby Rowland back with you. It's Sooner Game Day. We're getting you set for Oklahoma and Ole Miss. It's the early kick on Saturday, just after 11 a.m. Let's focus in now as Brahms brings us the scoop. By the way, I go strawberry milkshake at Brahms.
Peanut butter cup, single scoop in one scoop in a cup.
Okay, Teddy?
Vanilla.
Sorry about that one, folks. Sorry you had to be subjected to
Now,
that.
their vanilla's elite, but
No, it's
just
good.
vanilla?
Yep,
It's
that's
good.
it.
Trinidad
Keep it simple.
Chambliss, the least surprising thing that's been said today right
Vanilla.
there. Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback for Ole Miss, these guys mentioned it. It was Austin Simmons when the year started, big 6'4" lefty. He got hurt. Chambliss came in, who is from Ferris State, where he won the national championship last year. He's only 6 foot tall. And he's been so good that he's Wally pipped Austin Simmons.
No
It's
doubt.
an old baseball reference for you. Simmons is healthy again, but he hadn't got his job back because Chambliss has played so well. Teddy, what does he mean to this offense for them?
Yeah, he's one of those really versatile quarterbacks. He's a playmaker. You know, he can scramble around. He can make you pay with his legs. I think his accuracy on the underneath and intermediate stuff is really, really good. The longer stuff is where the majority of his incompletions and inaccuracies have come. But he's really dialed in. The run game stuff, as you see here, he's a quick, shifty player. He's got great speed. And, you know, like these plays right here, they keep it pretty simple. If you're playing zone coverage, they love to attack the flat area. He will take the stuff that you give him. A lot of quarterbacks will try and force it downfield, you know, try and throw it into a window, try and let a guy make a play, and there's a time to do that, but he's totally fine taking the underneath, the easy stuff. You see the vision here, throws it all the way back across the field to Daquan Wright, you know, just knows where his guys are supposed to be and delivers the football quickly and accurately. I mean, he's got a good arm. Everyone you face these days has a pretty good arm. He doesn't have like an overpowering arm that you really worry about the downfield stuff, but quick, accurate, versatile, athletic, smart. He just kind of checks every box.
The Sooner Nation's not going to like this. Our buddy Dusty Dvorak had Ole Miss earlier in the season and was asking Charlie Weiss Jr., their offensive coordinator, about Chambliss and, you know, kind of who does he remind you of? Charlie Weiss Jr. said he reminds them a lot of Baker Mayfield. Now, I'm guessing that's play style. I don't see Chambliss running around, you know, doing one of these out there on the field. But he just makes good plays. And I think that's the main reason he's kept the job over Austin Simmons. Austin Simmons was throwing it to the other team early in the season. Yeah. Now he went down with the ankle injury, and I'm not sure he's quite back. But Chambliss has done such a good job with his decision-making and his playmaking. He's been really impressive.
Not the first time he's played a team from the state of Oklahoma, by the way. In the Division II playoffs last year, Ferris State played UCO, University of Central Oklahoma.
Roll Chose.
Ferris State put 78 points on them in the playoffs, led by Chambliss. So hopefully the Sooners can keep them below 78 on Saturday.
Still roll chose.
Roll chose, yeah. How about on defense for Ole Miss, Gabe? Who jumps out at you other than the tackles, and where are there some soft spots there, maybe?
The defensive tackles jump out at you. 51 and 52, Harrison, Eccles. Those guys are really good players. When they are fresh, watch out, man. They are extremely disruptive. They're very physical. They've got good size and strength. I think those guys are really good when they're fresh. Now, like I mentioned earlier, they're just playing a ton of snaps and they get worn down as the game goes on. But other than that, Daugherty at linebacker is a solid player. They've kind of searched for who their other inside backer is. They've played a ton of different guys. And then I think the weakness of the group overall is the secondary. Now, they've got good size and length at corner. Their corners look the way you want them to look. But they've given up explosive plays, and they've had some big issues tackling in space with their secondary, the safety position, nickel position. They've struggled in some of those situations, especially on the perimeter, getting off blocks, making tackles in space. And that's why we're going to see something from Ole Miss's defense that we really haven't seen all season long. They're going to do quite a bit of rushing 3 and dropping 8 into coverage. And I think it's because they don't necessarily trust the back end of that defense to play an aggressive style. They've gotten very conservative with some of the things that they're doing defensively, almost like a bend but don't break mentality. And the problem with that, you saw it against Georgia. They bent and then they broke over and over and over again, and Georgia goes 8 for 8 with possessions, 5 touchdowns and 3 field goals.
Never punted.
Never punted in the football game. That's how you draw it up. But if we can control 51 and 52 at the point of attack and limit their effectiveness, their disruptiveness in this game, I feel really good about us having a nice day offensively, an efficient day offensively.
Well, I'm going to go off the football field for a second here, Ted. Florida's got an open job. Lane Kiffin is the number 1 name being mentioned for that job. That happened this week. Distraction, impact in the locker room with Kiffin, any impact at all? All the rumors.
It's hard to say. And I think every player is a little bit differently. Like, I'm the worst person to talk to about this because blinders.
You like vanilla ice cream.
Like vanilla ice cream, totally brainwashed by the coaching staff, like nothing outside of what we're doing right here matters. But those things do leak in, and the louder it gets, the more you worry about it. I think, at least in my opinion, for this game, non-factor. If they lose this game and the rest of the season becomes a question, that's whenever I think it can become loud and start to create a little bit of doubt maybe in the locker room. Guys start wondering, especially in this era, what does next year look like for me if Kiffin's not here? And some of those things can affect your preparation and play.
One of the things about the Ole Miss roster is they have been a heavy portal team. So now they've got guys that they've recruited out of high school, that they've developed, that are Ole Miss guys.
Not a lot.
But there's a lot of guys on this team where they're looking at the Lane Kiffin possibly going to Florida situation. They're like,
looking for apartments in Gainesville already?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, they're like, no big deal. We'll just go with him. We love Lane. We'll just go with him. It doesn't matter. And that's just kind of where we're at in this sport. So I don't think it's really much of a distraction at all. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of where college football is right now. Maybe whether you like it or not, that's a different discussion.
Gives the fan base and sports radio podcasts something to talk about all week. Chick-fil-A brings us what brings you the most pleasure for this game on Saturday. My Pleasure by Chick-fil-A. Teddy, what would bring you the most pleasure watching OU and Ole Miss?
I think I probably say this every week, but the turnover battle, we're slowly creeping back up to get to
to -5 now.
Get to even territory. I think
Ole Miss is -4 in that category.
Yeah. I think if we can win the turnover battle, I know what I'm going to get from the defense to a large degree. We know what we're going to get from special teams to a large degree. Offense, we hope to see the offense continue to improve with Mateer getting better. But if the defense plays the way they do and they can force 1, 2, handful of turnovers, give our offense a short field, maybe score on defense again. We've done that a couple of times. To me, that would be a big factor in winning this game.
Gabe?
5 or less penalties.
Ooh, had 10 last week.
Yeah.
Too many penalties, especially in the special team phase of the game.
I'm not sure that's possible in an SEC game. These guys love throwing flags.
They may suspend you for the rest of the year if you don't do a good job now.
I know.
I think that if we play clean, we're a more complete team than Ole Miss.
Sure.
Now, they're clearly more dynamic offensively, but if we play clean all 3 phases of the game, I feel really, really good. So 5 or less penalties, that may be a little extreme. Maybe 7 or less, 6 or less, I don't know. But just a clean football game
Not
from a penalty.
big ones.
Yeah, no,
big ones.
15-yarders, like those can't happen. You can't lose 15 yards of field position every time we return a punt. Can't happen.
Picking some of the biggest games in college football when we come back here on Sooner Game Day.
Thank you to our cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola. Sooner Game Day is presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Riverwind Casino, the official entertainment destination of OU Athletics. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. The Sooner Sports Podcast is presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino.
Sooners in the NFL brought to you by One Oklahoma. Jalen Hurts, 326 yards and 3 tutties last week. CeeDee Lamb back on track, back on the field, looking good, 110 and a touchdown. Sooners in the NFL making plays all over the place. All right, OU and Ole Miss coming up here at Owen Field on Saturday. Time for your Air Comfort Solution hot take for this one. Gabe, start with you.
Jaron Canick's been quiet.
Yes.
Quiet no more.
Ooh.
Big day for Canick. I'm not entirely sure what it looks like, but Lawson Lucky, who is a very good tight end for Georgia, had not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns against Ole Miss.
Canick does not have one yet this year.
He does not have a touchdown yet.
Needs one at home.
Jaron Canick touchdown is the hot take.
All right.
I like it. For me, defensively, 6 sacks, 2 turnovers, and we see 2 quarterbacks from Ole Miss.
Ooh.
Simmons into the game.
6 sacks, 2 forced turnovers, 2 quarterbacks.
You're saying that the Sooners defense meets the moment.
Yes. Yes, I am. Feel good about it.
Okay.
If that happens, Oklahoma is squarely in the college football playoff race.
Yeah.
2 road games at Tennessee, at Alabama coming up next. They need this one Saturday.
Got to have this one.
Yes,
I
they
mean,
do.
this is for both teams, but especially when you look at the rest of Ole Miss's schedule, but this is a massive game for us.
Here's my hot take. I don't think it's going to rain that much. So come on out to Owen Field. Don't let that stop you.
We ain't scared of rain. This
Sooners
is
to
Oklahoma.
the Rebels. Kickoff just after 11 o'clock. We'll see you next week on Sooner Game Day. Boomer Sooner, everybody.